Welcome to another edition of Train Talk. It's me, Eric, down here with you in the train room. And today I wanted to talk about leveling up in the hobby and also about the concept of what I call the permanent beginner. One of the real pleasures that I get on a day-to-day basis is interacting with others in the hobby. And ever since I set up an email address for Chicago Crossing, which I'll post here on the screen, I found it so much fun because it's a much easier way for me to share the hobby with others and for others to share their train layouts and their journeys in the hobby with me. I learn so much from what people are doing, and I find that so incredibly helpful and gratifying. There was a particular viewer of the channel who was working on a building for a small switching diorama that he has been working with, and it was a lot of fun because he basically was showing me pictures of the building and saying, hey, I was thinking of doing this and this and this to patch up windows. What do you think of that? And I said, that sounds awesome. So he ended up building just an absolutely beautiful structure. And as he said, it was probably one of the best that he'd ever done. And he created something that looks like an absolute work of art. I love the concept of leveling up because it's a great yardstick in which to measure one's progress in the hobby. And it's a great way to really know what have I done and how have I changed over time. All of us change over time. We have different trajectories. Some are faster, some are slower, both in the hobby and in our lives, right? And so I think being able to take a building like this and compare it to old photos of the same building, or to look at one's previous layouts, as I recently saw another one of my YouTube colleagues do, it's such a great way to actually build out one's understanding of one's own progress, and I think that's also a great way to feel really gratified by the effort that one puts in. So here's to leveling up. If you've not taken a look at your past work in a little while, it's worth doing so, simply to regain that perspective. So it wasn't all that long ago that I found a comment in my feed. It was on a video I had put out like a year and a half ago, talking about 4 things that I think worked really well on Chicago Crossing Model Railroad. And in that video, I described myself as, in many ways, a beginner. And, this person took real issue with that. I consider myself permanently a beginner of sorts in this hobby. And to lay context to that, I think it's worth talking about what my life is like as a scientist. I have worked since 1997 in laboratories, training through undergraduate, graduate school, postdoctoral work. And so within about 2 decades, I would argue that I have achieved most of the metrics of what it means to be a master of a discipline. So just about every day that I walk into the lab, I frankly feel as if it's no different than my first day. And what I mean by that is that the mysteries of biology and the mysteries of disease are still there. The challenges are still there every day. And every day is a chance to learn something new and potentially apply that. I don't find frustration in that. Actually, I find the opposite. We are trying to actively solve a problem. And some days we are right, and some days we are wrong. Now, a hobby is, of course, far lower stakes than working in leukemia biology. But I think that there will be new problems, small p, in other words, not bad problems, but simply things to figure out, new challenges to identify, and also new solutions, and occasionally absolute screw-ups. Let me give you an example. So this Cassidy tire building, so far that has been kind of a success. Like I say, it's sort of a level up. Well, in between doing the windows and the bricking over and the roof, I decided that I would take the strategy I used for the brick over here and actually try to use that on another structure instead of just little panels. And so what I did is I took the house that actually looks very similar to the one I grew up in off of the layout, and I've always had the roof able to come off, but I tried the same technique on the brick, and quite frankly, it looks awful. It is a complete fail for a number of different reasons. Number one, this building was built very early on. I used a spray paint to paint this, and so the brick lost relief, and so when I tried to put mortar in there, it worked terribly. The other thing is the way I painted the brick really did not work out. It's a fail, absolutely. But it's another challenge. It's a small P that opens up different opportunities for problem solving and figuring out, what it is that we actually want to do in order to make this building better. So this is why I have the concept in my own mind that I'm permanently a beginner, because every day down here is something new that I've never done before. And I like that challenge. And mind you, that challenge is not necessarily what everybody seeks, nor what everybody should seek. There are people who have done model railroading for decades, and maybe they've gone through many different layouts and they kind of do, things the same way each time. And that's fine. This hobby is big enough to accommodate all kinds. So, sure, in a linear perspective, I've been doing this hobby for 8 years. No, I'm not a literal beginner. What is a literal beginner in this hobby? Somebody who's picking up trains for the first time, deciding whether or not they like it. In reality, you move beyond that stage the moment that you kind of identify what it is that you want to specialize in within the hobby, what your kind of sub-discipline is, and what really drives you. I don't think there's a much better definition of that, because there are people who have built dozens of layouts, and there are also people who have built 2. And there are people who do fine scale modeling, and then there are people who don't. There's really no way to judge discreetly, who's a master and who's not. I think there are a couple of people out there that we could rightly describe as masters, and that's because they are professional model builders, or they've literally been fine scale modeling for years and years and years. I drew upon years of experience in model railroading, and I still can't always get brick to look good. And that's okay. That's just part of the fun, is making an absolute crapper out of something, but at the same time also coming around, leveling up, and making something that I think is really a testament to doing a great job in the hobby and having fun while doing it.